So maybe you've noticed lately that every time you play bassoon and you put a tuner on, that you're always sharp. In this video, I'm going to show you probably the most common reasons that you're sharp and how to fix those issues. There are a number of reasons why you might be playing sharp on the bassoon. It might be related to your equipment, like your reeds or your bassoon itself. It might be related to how you're playing the bassoon, or it might be a combination of both. A common mistake is to actually pull the bocal out of the bassoon like you would on a clarinet or a saxophone in order to lower the pitch. However, this isn't actually an effective way to change the pitch on the bassoon because you have to keep the bocal matching up with the whisper key pad, and that doesn't give you very much room to move. One of the most common reasons for sharpness on the bassoon is in the embouchure. Young students in particular have a tendency to bite or pinch the reed, and that pushes the pitch up. The best way to tell if you are biting or pinching on the reed is to actually look at yourself in the mirror while you're playing bassoon. And if you think that your lips are really flat across, and if you can't see the red of your lips because they're so rolled in over your teeth, then you're probably biting or pinching. To fix this issue, you want to think about the corners of your lips always being pulled in. Think about your lips being like the opening of a drawstring bag that are just creating good cushion for the reed. You want to think about having a very tall and open embouchure. If you think about using the syllable do or toe while you're playing, that's going to set your oral cavity up in the correct position to play, and that's likely going to lower the pitch if you've been biting or pinching on the reed. If you want to learn about my 3-step process to creating a bassoon embouchure, go ahead and click on the card above. So if you've tried adjusting your embouchure and it's just not doing the trick and lowering the pitch, another thing that you might be able to experiment with is tongue position. Now, tongue position is not something that as bassoonists we commonly focus on or talk about a lot as much as we do with embouchure, but I have found in my own playing that when I am raising or lowering the level of the tongue, that does change the pitch significantly. So in order to experiment with this and see if it helps you, pick a note, any note in the middle register of the bassoon that's comfortable for you, hold it, and while you're looking at a tuner, play and only change the level of your tongue up or down and see how it changes the pitch. Now, obviously you don't want to put your tongue in an extreme or an uncomfortable position, but maybe if you just slightly lower it a little bit, it might lower the pitch enough in general that is your fix right there. So if you've tried adjusting your embouchure and you've messed around with your tongue position and your pitch is still just generally sharp, it's probably an issue with your reeds. This is, of course, assuming that there's nothing wrong with your bassoon. Sometimes if you have leaky pads on your bassoon, they're not sealing completely, that will raise the pitch of your instrument as well, and you would need to take it in for repair. I'm going to assume that you don't have a full reed toolkit available to you, so the tips I'm going to give you are just going to be things that you can make adjustments with either 400 or 600 grit sandpaper. These items you can pick up at any local hardware store for pretty cheap. So one thing that we're going to do is just take some cane right off of the tip of the blade. What you can do is you'll brace one side of the reed with your finger. This is kind of the angle that you would be pulling back at. You do not want to be adjusting your reed up in the air like this. I'm just doing that just to show you the angle. So essentially, I'm just going to brace it just like this and pull the tip of my reed back each time on this piece of sandpaper. I'm going to do it on the other side as well. And just do it maybe 3 or 4 times on each side and then see if that makes a difference. Another option with sandpaper that you can use is you can sand on the back third of the reed. So again, the reason that the reed is sharp is probably because there's too much cane left on it, and a common place that cane is left is in the back third of the blade. And so if I were to draw a line straight down the middle of the reed, that is the spine of the reed. And generally you don't want to touch that, but you can sand like this back and forth on the channels of the reed, just gently supporting it. And that does take off a little bit of cane. And whatever you do to one side, you want to make sure that you do to the other side so that it stays balanced. It's possible that even after you've made these small reed adjustments and you've made adjustments in your embouchure, you've messed around with your tongue position, and you know that your bassoon is in good working condition, that you're still playing sharp. And that's a really frustrating position to be in. My best guess in that situation is that you're playing on a reed that's either of poor quality, or it's not set up correctly, or it just doesn't work well for you. It might be that the length of the reed is simply too short and you need to experiment with a reed that has a slightly longer length on the blade. You might also be just buying poor quality reeds. If possible, you want to try to purchase reeds that are handmade from a real bassoonist. Luckily, there are a lot of online places where you can buy really high quality handmade reeds by Bassoonist, including my website. The last tip I have for you is just a general piece of advice, and that is to use the tuner all the time when you are practicing. You can use phone apps for tuners. I like to have a separate tuner simply because I don't want to kill my phone battery, and I get easily distracted if I have my phone in front of me constantly. Now, I'm not suggesting that you only tune with your eyes by looking at the level of the tuner, but whenever you're making pitch adjustments, you need to make sure that your ears are turned on and that you are memorizing what it feels and what it sounds like to play in tune. If you use the tuner generally throughout all of your practicing, I guarantee that your pitch is going to improve in general. If this video was helpful for you, I would love if you could hit the like button and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. I threw a lot of information at you in this video, and so if you have questions about anything that I talked about, or if you have questions about another bassoon topic that I might be able to cover in a future video, please comment down below and let me know, and I will do my best to help you out.